All right, everybody. It's been a while since I've done a watch review. Well, I did a couple on the ship, I guess, but wasn't my normal style. So this one's going to take a little longer because it's an unboxing video, and there's a whole lot more to this box. So if you want to just get to the watch, fast forward a bit, because I'm going to talk about the process, where I got it, why, and how I came up with this one opposed to the one with the blue face you've already seen. If you're not interested in that, fast forward. I don't want to hear anybody whining about it. Get to the point. I'm gonna, in my own time. So, I stayed with this brand, got it on the ship. I was on the Grandeur of the Seas. We did a 9 or 10-day cruise down to the Caribbean. Went to Haiti, which, Haiti wasn't so great. But we were only there for a little bit. And then Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. Freaking amazing. The ship was actually good. It was, despite everybody saying, it's the smallest, oldest ship in their fleet. There's a lot less kids. It was a little more intimate. It was a little more adult. It was great. And on the ship, we actually met some really cool people, the folks that worked there. So we'll talk about them a little bit. And one of them, Suna, is the girl who worked at the watch store. Sold me several watches, like 4. So, and this was the most expensive. I'd gone there with a mission. When I got down to Aruba, I was going to go to Little Switzerland and Shiva and a couple other known watch places down there that carry everything. Tag Heuer, Breitling, wasn't looking for Rolex, that's not in the budget, but all the major brands. And I was like, I'm gonna get my first true legit luxury watch. I've got some watches that are, over 1,000, but I wanted like an actual luxury brand. So I found this one on the ship. And initially I had gotten that one that was blue with the leather band. And then the next day I saw one slightly different from the same series, but it had the metal bracelet. And originally I was going to buy the bracelet from the company for the one that I had, but the bracelet alone was like 1,000. And I just started looking at this other one, and then I just kind of really fell for it. Whoa, hey now. And so I ended up talking to them and said, hey, I'm going to be leaving, the ship tomorrow, so I'll be an idiot if I don't ask this. Can I change that? It's brand new. It's been sitting in the box. Can I change that one in and just pay the difference to go to the one with the metal bracelet? And they went to the boss and said, and she's like, yeah, no problem. Bring it down. Let me look at it, make sure it's, still brand new, no scratches. And she's like, yeah, not a problem. So I paid $63 out of pocket and went up to this one. Well, with this one also came this insane box. When I say this is an unboxing, I mean, it's like a literal frickin' unboxing. So it comes in this nice padded deluxe cardboard kind of case, and you open it up to get to the real box, and this is some kind of wood that's like hand polished and all that fun stuff with the name of the brand, Cuervo y Sobrinos. And you open it up and you have this amazing box. I'm having trouble getting it all in shot here. So I went back and forth on a couple different ones and ended up going with this. What this is this is a place to store watches or cigars. So when you take your watch out, which is in another bonus here, this amazing little carrying travel case, it's a place to put your cigars. And then you've got these little things in here, which I don't know. I don't really smoke cigars, so, it's not a huge benefit to me, but to some folks it might be. But then you've got these filters. Might be something that keeps the humidity or something. Oh, look at this. You actually have a freaking... So I guess that's your hydrometer. So these are kind of magnet. I don't know what you do with this thing. Maybe there's a piece of metal in there that helps it. Oh, it does. So they put a piece of metal up inside the wood that you can't see it, so that will stick in place. And then you can turn it and straighten it out, unless, I guess I went ahead and put it in there crookedly. But then you've got these like filters or whatever it's for. So now you have this cool little cigar humidor. So my wife will occasionally smoke a cigar. I can't stand the things. I hate smoking, all that stuff. But if that's your thing, hey, you got this really cool cigar humidor. And then what you're gonna do is take out the leather watch case. Probably should have done. Well, no, you know what? I want this to be an unboxing video, so you're seeing it in real time, bloopers and all. So you get your desiccant out, got the extra piece. The bracelet on this thing is just absolutely, it's art, which is probably why it costs freaking $1,000. So what do we end up getting? It is still part of the Cuervo y Sobrinos brand. It is part of the Churchill line, but instead of the GMT, this one's called the Yalta. This one in its current configuration retails for $47.50, so just under $5,000. This is not a cheap watch, but it's also not, $30,000 for a Rolex. So I feel like this, if you can afford a lower, like a mid-range Tog, like a Carrera, you can buy this. If you can afford a lower end Omega or a Breitling, those kinds of brands, you can afford this. Now, why might you want to spend this money on a brand that you've probably never heard of? You might not. I did it because I wanted something different. I can always go get a Tog. I can go get a Baume & Mercier. I can go to Joma Shop and get those things at a fairly good discount any day of the week. These things you have to either buy from the manufacturer, which is in Switzerland, even though it's a Cuban brand, and then you're going to pay retail, right? Or you're going to have to find someone that sells them online. And there's not a lot of places. These are numbered. This one happens to have 500 of them made, and I've got number 251. Other models within the range, some of them, there's only 30 of them. Some there's 200. These are not the kind of things that I don't think there's any real dealers. There's a couple places I think they can order them in the U.S., but I don't know of any stocking dealers in the U.S. other than Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is an authorized dealer. You have to go to Paris. You have to go to the Middle East. You have to go to, somewhere in Germany. Monte Carlo has a dealer. You have to go to like a nice watch shop somewhere overseas if you want to get one and handle it and decide before you buy it. And I suggest that you do. I don't think you should buy a $5,000 or $4,000 or even a $2,000 watch without trying it on and seeing if it fits and if you like it and all that kind of stuff. If it's a Casio and whatever, then you buy it and you're not out that much money if you get it and go, I don't like it. So, has a butterfly bracelet. Let's see if we can get a little close-ups here. What this one is I got rid of the GMT to keep the cost fairly neutral. Otherwise, going to the GMT with the bracelet was going to jump the price up a good bit and be over $5,000. I wanted to keep it almost cost neutral, so I went with, instead of the GMT model, I went with a more classic kind of off-white dial here, and I wanted it to have the day date. So this is an automatic movement. We'll go through the specs in a moment. It's got an interesting, you kind of pop that out, and then you use that to pull it out and turn it, and then it kind of goes snap back into place for your crown. It is a very cool Cuban company that's been around since 1882. The watches are now all made entirely in Switzerland, but you've still got this true to form, classic Latin, started in Havana kind of vibe to it. The links on this thing are just amazing. All the edges are polished. It's beautiful, but let's go through the specs here. So let me find the specs as I'm going through the page here. And this is a brand that was popularized back in the day. Folks like Winston Churchill, FDR, who's the other guy? Ernest Hemingway. This is a brand that was very well known back in the day. They've been around since 1882. They just had their 140th anniversary a couple years ago. So it's an old brand with very rich heritage. No longer made in Cuba, but I think we could argue that in today's world, that's probably a good thing. But it is made by the Swiss, but you've got that classic Latin design with the date. Just a beautiful, beautiful watch. No, there is no lume on it, but I don't care about that. If you want lume, this probably isn't the watch for you. But let's see. The movement they call it a CYS 8127. It's a modified hybrid of automatic movement based on the Sellita 240-1. So it's got a really good, basis for a movement. 26 joules. It's got 28,800 beats per minute or whatever they call it. That's the oscillating. Let's see. We've got hours, minutes, seconds, day, and date down there on the bottom complication. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that dial. There's also a really cool kind of texture. I forget the term. I think it's a French term. But there's like this crisscross kind of a swirling sort of grooves in that dial. Really, just really cool up close. With an off-white and then the gold hue, and then you've got the stainless and titanium. The case is also stainless and titanium. This outer ridge is titanium, and then the inner part is stainless. The case is 43 millimeters across. It's 12.45 millimeters deep. It is sapphire crystal with anti-reflective, although I'm noticing you will get some reflection because it's not a flat, it's a domed crystal. It doesn't stick out that much above the bezel, but it is slightly domed, so you're always going to get some kind of reflection. So it is water resistant down to 10 atmospheres. So you got 100-meter water resistance, which is, you won't go diving with this kind of watch, but if you want to go swimming in the pool or take a shower with it, you're just fine. It is a see-through case back, but you don't see much of the movement. I almost wish it didn't have that piece on the back. Hey, Poppy. But you've got your movement because you're really... Stop flapping your ears, dude. Quiet on the set. But you've got FDR and Churchill, stylized, kind of it's not an engraving, it's probably a sticker on the inside. I almost wish that didn't have that so you could see the movement a little more, but then again, this is pretty much on your wrist all the time, so you're not looking at that anyway. The watch itself, I just love the lines. I love the way it flows. It's just super, super well executed. I like that it's got the limited edition numbering on the side, which you can see there. And the bracelet. The bracelet is what drew me to this thing. I mean, the machining on this thing, I'll try to not move it as much as you can see the detail on this thing. This is why the stupid bracelet costs $940 plus shipping to get just the bracelet sent to you. It is just really, really well done. These are solid links. It's just a fantastic execution. The lock is really nice and snappy. Really locks in. You've got their logo. You've got that two-tone kind of thing going on where it's brushed in one direction this way and then it's polished in another, and then the edge is slightly less polished, so it's almost like a three-way. Who doesn't like a three-way? It's almost like a three-way type of effect here. This is just an absolutely gorgeous watch. And the reason I got it is not because the sales rep was beautiful and talked me into it. I mean, she is, but that's not really what did it for me. I wanted something different. And you can go get a Tog anywhere. This is something that I would not be able to get. And I would never even see. I mean, that's the reality, is I've never heard of the brand. Once I did some research and found out, oh, this is not like a little upstart. It's not a small micro brand. It's like a legit brand that's been around for almost a century and a half. The Swiss are in charge of making it, and they're doing it right. And so I don't have to worry about it. It's not a fly-by-night company. They've been around forever. They're just not widely known. And that's the case with some brands. There's some brands that have a lot of heritage, even if they're not a household name, like a Rolex or a Tag Heuer or something like that. But this is something that you can't get everywhere. You wouldn't even know about it. You show up to the office or you're hanging out at a wedding, wherever you would wear this kind of a dress watch. Although this watch, I think you could dress down a little bit and go business casual with it just fine. I wouldn't wear it to the beach, although you probably could. I mean, back in the day, if you were a guy, a person of means who had, the money to buy, I guess, a quality watch, yeah, maybe you would. I won't, because I want to scratch the shit out of it on the sand. But it is just absolutely a beautiful, retro kind of looking watch. I don't have the weight on this one. I see the case, the hands, 4N gold color stainless steel hands, buckle strap. It is a limited edition. The dial is a Clos de Paris guilloche dial. That's the word I was looking for. I knew it was French. Didn't know what word, though. The guilloche. Just a very, very, very beautiful watch. And so I kept thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? When would I ever be able to handle and grab one of these? So I went ahead and did it. Now, I know you're on a cruise ship. You're like, you don't get a ton of deals. I mean, I got, some other Citizen watches and picked up a Tissot for Donna. And honestly, I didn't get a better deal on the ship. Although they say 30% discount. You know how cruise ships work, right? I'm not implying that Suno was doing anything wrong. But, they always have the price at one and 30% off. And you get down to, okay, that's a discount. And basically, you're just still paying retail. You're on a ship. It's just, that's just how it works. But with this, if you want to buy it, you have to either go somewhere else in the world that has these and then haggle with them and see if you can get it for less. Maybe there's an online retailer somewhere that's got one. But with such limited pieces, there's not a lot of these out there. That's the problem. Especially if you wanted one of the ones that was only, 30 pieces or 200 pieces. You might have to be searching for a while to find somebody who's actually got one. But to be able to get it for $47.50 was the original price. I think I paid $4,300 out the door. So, figure $450 off, minus, sales tax. Now, sales tax doesn't matter when you're buying a $99 G-Shock. When you're buying a watch that's $4,300, that's $300 just in sales tax, or more if you're in California or another state with higher sales tax. So in that case, I did save, $750 over what I would pay, if I went right to their website and ordered it. So I feel like I got a decent deal on that. And even if I didn't get a crazy good deal on that, I still got a watch that I probably would never have heard of, or even if I knew of it and wanted it, no guarantee I would have gotten it. I happened to be on a ship that had one of these and one of the others. Their selection was still fairly small, although they did have like 12 different watches, but they didn't have any kind of real inventory. It was like, this is what we have. This is the only allocation we can get because the dealers in Europe want them, and there's just not that many of them around. So it was a very good experience. I'm very glad that I asked to be able to swap it out. The other one was had some advantages, I think, with the GMT, if that's your thing, but this just cleaned up the dial a little bit. It got me this amazing box, this freaking hand-stitched or whatever leather. I don't know, it's hand-stitched, maybe it's machine-stitched, but you've got this leather padded carrying case for when you're traveling. You don't carry the whole damn box around. You put your watch in there, and it snaps shut. And it's nice and protected in your suitcase. So you have your beater. You wear your G-Shock or whatever it is you're wearing, your Seiko, running around. But then when you want to go out to a nice dinner or something like that, boom, you pull out this. So just an amazing presentation. I mean, I never bought a watch that came with this, and I could say, well, for the money, hey, they should throw in some extras. I also got a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue and a cigar. So this is awesome. We had a really good time on this trip. There's some things about the boat and smaller boats and being on it for 10 days that we're like, maybe next time we do the bigger ship. But honestly, the people we met there, Suna was awesome. She was so cool to hang out with. Would go down there and just kind of hang out, and just very easy to talk to, and knows a good bit about watches, and she's still learning more about watches and stuff. I think she's going to be an awesome sales rep. She's already good, but she's going to be awesome. And then, meeting Helena and Josh and Milos, everybody there. It was interesting on a cruise because everybody, they were nice. They made you feel welcome. I should probably do a review of the cruise at some time. But honestly, there was a lot of time at sea where we're kind of bored. We would just go down and sit down and have glasses of champagne and hang out with them and just talk. And we're talking to Josh about, he's from South Africa. We're talking about guns, and he's going on a hog hunt with it from a helicopter next week. And talking to his wife, Helena, and Milos, and hearing a bit about, from Suna, about, growing up in India and stuff like that. Like, everyone just, it's interesting. We're all sitting there in the group, all of us from different countries, different backgrounds, different age groups. And it's like, you see all the conflict going on in the world, and you see all the stuff, the negative stuff that's going on. And here's a whole bunch of people with completely different backgrounds and histories and age brackets and all that stuff, different languages, cultures. And none of it mattered at all. You're just sitting there bullshitting, having laughs, telling jokes. And it goes back to what I like about mechanical watches. It starts and it fosters conversations for a lot of people. When you have a love for this mechanical art, it's not just something on your wrist that tells you that you're running late for your dental appointment. It's something that you actually sit there, talking about, and you have an interest, and you're looking at the different movements and stuff like that. It's a facilitator for interaction with people who have a similar love for jewelry, cars, motorcycles, whatever it is you're talking about, guns, Josh, and all that stuff. And it served in that capacity here. Got to meet some really cool people. These are people that if we lived, I would love to hang out with them and be friends with them and go grab dinner. Fortunately, she lives in India. Fortunately, Helena's from Montenegro and Josh is in South Africa, and I think Milos is from Serbia or something. So people are scattered all across the grove, and that was probably that was the biggest downside of the cruise, was met some really cool people. And unfortunately, you might never meet them again, which sucks. We'll stay in touch on Instagram, and who knows, maybe we'll cross paths again. I certainly hope so. But this is part of that, and this reminds me of that. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't just go onto Aruba and just go to a regular watch shop and buy a Tag or something that I could have Breitling that I could have bought at home. I bought something different and special that reminded me not just of the trip with my wife but also interacting with the people and those kind of friendships that it can foster, if that makes sense. It transcends just a piece of metal and glass and all that. Yes, it's that art. Yes, it's beautiful, and I'm going to enjoy wearing this for decades before passing it down to somebody. But it serves as that reminder of the time that you spent with people and formed a little bit of a bond with them. And that's why I got that. And that's why I spent that money on a watch brand that you've never heard of. So if you made it this far in the video, I hope you got that last point, because sometimes it's a watch or maybe a classic car. It can be more than the sum of its parts. It's not just a thing. It's a thing that serves as a bit of an anchor in your memory, and it serves as that facilitator for those conversations and whatever relationships it might foster that spring from that. And that's what makes something like this special. I actually get a little choked up thinking about all this. Met some really cool people. So anyway, that's I am choked up. That's the Cuervo y Sobrinos. That is the Churchill. Magnificent watch. And this will be something that gets cherished in my collection. I'm going to wear this for a long time. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the unboxing and the overview. And I hope you also enjoyed the story about what some of these things can mean to people. So we'll talk to y'all later.